Welcome back, everyone. Let's get, it's good to be back. Here we are. I know people are complaining that they don't like to wait a week for the cover-to-cover action, and that's understandable. So everyone's like, let's do 2 times a week. Can you do 2 times a week? Perhaps one day, but not right now. Because I'm on the road a ton, I don't even know if I'll have the time to like do 2 times a week. I got to head to, where am I heading this week? I'm to Edmonton, Canada, where I'll be at the West Edmonton Mall at the comic strip today, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And I think Sunday. So if you guys live in Canada, West Edmonton, or they tell me it's called Edmonton, only the mall is West Edmonton, then please come to those shows. I love performing in Canada, but I know I'm not as big a deal in Canada as I am here in America. So I would love it if you could make me an international superstar and come to my Canadian shows that are in the mall in West Edmonton. That would be fantastic. On with the show. Let's get right into it. We've talked about it a few weeks ago, and I had said at the time that I thought the story seemed bizarre and odd, and it's why I didn't want to run and tweet about it and say, you know, the world's going to shit because they're beating up people on the streets of Chicago, and there's hate crimes and MAGA hats and bleach and nooses, and so Jussie Smollett. I believe his name is Jussie. I was calling him
Smollett.
Smollett?
Yeah,
Jussie Smollett. Yeah, you're right. It is Jussie Smollett. I was calling him Jesse. I believe it's Jussie. Jussie. Jussie Smollett. And now the story has been strange since it began, since the day it happened, which is now almost 3 weeks ago. It was just a bizarre story. First of all, the thing that triggered me that it was a strange story was the fact that he said these people yelled, "This is MAGA country," which is not something people even say. That's not a term that's used throughout the world. I mean, there's "Make America Great Again" hats, and there's "Make America Great Again." People say that. Nobody says this is MAGA country. It's just a weird thing to say. I don't believe, unless it's a term that I'm missing.
I think we call it like we. I think the edge is looking at that's MAGA country.
But would you say that? Would you say that's MAGA country about?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Part of the world.
I could see if someone else would be. You know.
Okay. Secondly, I think I'd said on a previous podcast that I kind of knew that area of Chicago. It doesn't strike me as the type of place where these kind of things would go down at 2:00 in the morning, and on his way to. And I know some people thought I was saying that he was going to a Subway. In a Subway, not a Subway. He was going to a Subway restaurant. So let's get that out of the way. Subway restaurant, not a Subway with a train underneath the ground. Okay, so now the story is getting completely bizarre, and to the fact, so much so that this guy now, I believe, maybe as of tomorrow, we're taping this the day before, when this will be released tomorrow. But as of today, I think he has to speak to the police again. Hasn't yet. It's been kind of apprehensive about talking to police again because now they have 2 suspects. And they're Kenyan guys who apparently were friends of his. They worked on Empire as extras. They're brothers. They're very, very black guys. So right here, the story becomes stranger because he said, originally, I was beaten up by 2 white guys wearing MAGA hats. That all was kind of muddied because he said, I didn't say MAGA hats. TMZ said MAGA hats, blah, blah, blah. But the fact he did say there were 2 white guys. These are obviously not 2 white guys. Even if it's 2:00 in the morning and you're high on a 12-inch, tuna from Subway, you can't mistake these for 2 white guys.
Little Black Forest ham.
That's racist.
Yeah,
we're talking about 2 black guys.
You
can't say Black Forest ham. So
white turkey breast, all white turkey breast.
There you go.
Okay.
Very nice. Thank you, Alex. So we've all heard the story. We're kind of, I don't know if you're like me. I'm kind of becoming fascinated by it. So I'm like re-upping the news every day to see if there's new things in the story. So what had happened was, and the latest is that they cut part of his role in Empire this week. I guess it aired yesterday, the day before. I don't watch Empire, but I guess they had cut part of his role. So even now the Empire people are like, there's something strange going on here. So now there's only 2 options here. This guy either says these are the guys who did it. Maybe I was wrong. I thought they were white. Turns out they're black, but they definitely beat me up. So now these guys have to go to jail. These two guys have to go to jail for a hate crime because that's just the way the world works. And that's the end of it. Or this dude, Jussie Smollett, has to go to jail or something, because now I think he's just making Chicago police look foolish, because I think the police know exactly what happened. They've known from day one this was a bullshit story, and I think they're kind of afraid to say it for whatever reason. They don't want to jump to any conclusions, but they knew right away because there was no video of it. There was no, I guess there's cameras all. And what I had heard was the cops were immediately triggered that it might have been a bullshit story by when it first happened. Jussie Smollett pointed to a camera and said that camera's probably got everything that happened on it. But the camera had been pointing in a different direction, and the cops thought it was strange that he knew exactly where the camera was. Then I guess they went to are they Kenyans or something like that? I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it from the wrong. Their names are Ami Bola and Ola Binjo Asundero, and they are brothers. And I guess that once they got back to America from Kenya, they were immediately arrested for this crime. Then they were released because they went out. They basically said, this dude hired us. He gave us $4,000, told us to beat him up, and we worked with him. Like, we're friends with him. We go to the gym together. This is what they're saying. But then every day it changes, because then this guy, Jussie Smollett, is still saying, I'm not lying. But obviously he's lying.
Yeah.
I know he's lying. This is a bullshit story.
I mean, it wasn't a good story before it was taken apart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't, and also I don't understand the reason for it. I don't know why now what I had heard originally was he thought he was getting kicked off Empire, so he staged this crime. But I don't know how that would keep him on Empire. Would they just be sympathetic to him?
The heartstrings, maybe.
Yeah, like, he just got beat
work
up in the street. We're going to have to keep him on Empire. But then the people from Empire said, we weren't planning on kicking him off at all. Certainly.
But they probably might be now.
Yeah, something has to be done now, because this is just... Now, I don't know if people remember a story a few years ago, not even, maybe it was a couple of years ago, with the swimmer in the Olympics. I believe it was in Brazil. It was, what's his name? Ryan Lochte.
Yeah.
Went and had a whole bullshit story about him and his friends were. And then that story quickly started to fall apart, and we all jumped on board and said, this is a bullshit story. And Ryan Lochte fessed up to it. He looked like an idiot for a while, but now he seems to be fine again. And he was on some, Celebrity House or something recently, and whatever. I think this is a bigger deal because he's continuing the bullshit, and he's continuing
tripling down,
and he's tripling down, and he's continuing to make the Chicago police work on this story. When 5 days ago there was a mass shooting in Aurora, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. Some guy went into like a UPS or some sort of one of those warehouses. And
I didn't hear about it.
Well, because you don't hear about it anymore because they happen so much that it's. I believe that it's less than 10 people are killed. We're so jaded by this, we don't care anymore. If you look at it and go, oh, only 5 people killed. Who cares? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an awful thing to say, but I believe that's true.
Well, I meant more because I've been hearing too much about Jussie Smollett.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The Chicago.
You got to kill 7 people.
The reason they couldn't do a press conference about this Jussie Smollett thing is because this happened. There's 5 people were killed at a warehouse in Aurora, Illinois. So this whole thing has just gotten so bizarre, and I think it's just a matter of time, like the next couple of days, where this guy is arrested and it all comes out. He went on Good Morning America or one of them last week, and he told his story and sounded like he was bullshitting still. But then he went and, right after it happened, he went and did this concert here at the Troubadour in Los Angeles, had his entire family in the front row and told everyone.
Is he a musician?
He's a musician, yes. Oh. And he went and did his concert at Troubadour. We talked about that on the podcast, that he was going to continue with the concert. Another thing about that concert was apparently it was selling poorly up until the attack. Then, of course, after
Troubadour's
the attack happened,
500. You got to get assaulted to sell 500.
After the attack happened, he sold out the Troubadour immediately because people were just going for the show of it. So he went on at that Troubadour show and told this whole story. There was video, you could see it online, of him saying, this was crazy. Thank you all for all your. So I think this whole time he's bullshitting. So now he's got all these people at a Troubadour and he's still So this guy's got some sort of problem. If I'm wrong about this, I apologize, and this is all terrible, but the story is just not lining up. And why can't I say that? I can say that, right? I said it in the beginning. And I could say it now because now it's not lining up even more than when I originally thought it wasn't lining up.
Yeah, originally it wasn't lining up. Now people are coming in and pulling chunks. They
have two guys who are not white guys who, and I'm not saying, listen, there are hate crimes everywhere and it's a terrible thing. And I know people are getting, but I knew when everybody jumped on Twitter, I'm like, this country is the worst. Donald Trump is firing up racism.
Now, he said. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What are we going to say?
He said that I don't know if he said that they said this is MAGA country or if that was TMZ, but didn't he say they were wearing MAGA hats?
No. Apparently TMZ said they were wearing MAGA hats. He said they said MAGA country. Okay. That's what I had gathered from it. But like I said, once again, every day is different with this story.
Yeah.
Which is why it's a bullshit story. Because if you get beat up on the streets, especially in Chicago, there's videotape of it. That's why I think the cops knew from day one, we got this is not working. The cops aren't stupid. They train detectives, especially Chicago detectives.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing. Yeah, this is something they see every day, and they can figure it out within minutes, probably, if a guy's bullshitting. And I think that's what they found. Just the fact that he had gotten letters 2 weeks beforehand, like he'd been planning this thing for quite some time. They had sent angry letters to the set of Empire that he was going to be beaten up. And then two guys, he said they screamed, "You're that faggot from Empire," or something. Like, who knows who the hell the guy from Empire is at 2:00 in the morning on the streets of Chicago? Like, it's not like he's the lead. I don't even know the lead of Empire. It's that one black guy with the blue eyes who's been in a ton of shit. I forget his name, but like, outside of, I like that actor, yeah. But outside of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and I don't know, Julia Roberts, does anyone know any celebrity walking down the street at 3:00 in the morning? Except the big giant celebrities. Maybe Donald Trump, you would know by just quickly looking at him. But I don't think you can know Jussie Smollett on and the character that he plays, the fifth lead that he plays on Empire. So anyway,
did Chicago PD say something along the lines of like they were afraid to call it false because of backlash?
Yes, because I guess
that speaks to
Chicago police have had some issues, and some as of late, especially with racism and shit like that. And honestly, look, Chicago, every day you read about, there's every holiday weekend, 4th of July weekend, 75 people were shot, but it never seems like anyone dies. I don't know what they're shooting each other with. Like, it seems like pea guns or something.
But again, it's a way different neighborhood than.
Oh yeah. It's a place. If you're in Chicago, it's a place you would probably never go. When I hear about these 75 people being shot, but anyway, so I think they have their issues. So they were leery about jumping on that right away. And so that's the story. This is the Jussie Smollett story, and that is my take on it. I said from the beginning that it seemed odd to me. It seemed strange. And I remember even when that Ryan Lochte story went down years ago, I was like, this is another story where they had no video. And it was supposed to be happening at a gas station, and I guess there was cameras all over this gas station. So if there's no, these days, from what I've heard, and I don't know whether you're for it or against it, people say, why are there so many cameras, Big Brother's watching? Maybe it is. But if you're not out there, fucking beating up Ryan Lochte, what do you care if there's cameras all over the place? Seems like they help for the most part. And if you're getting beaten up, when you're getting your Subway sandwich. But I mean, I don't know what Jussie Smollett does now. It's your career's kind of over. I mean, it wasn't a booming career as it was. He was, a television actor like anybody else, but now you're done. Like you're a crazy person who's on and had giant people tweeting about your crime. Barack Obama and even Donald Trump said something about it. And all these people went to Twitter way too early, I thought, because I think in the world we live in these days, whether you're Trumpy or not Trumpy, I mean, you just jump on whatever side you want it to be on this story. And I think people saw it immediately as, Trump ruining the country with racism. And so they jumped on that side. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they put a noose around this man's neck on the streets of Chicago. It's gotten so bad that it's infiltrating the streets of a very progressive city. So here we are. Whether you choose to believe it or not, I don't know if anybody is still on the fence on this story. If you are, I think you're being a little naive.
I think
something's wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Whether it's as whether it's a flat out lie, I don't know. But something's up. It's not exactly up to snuff, I don't think. Anyway, on to some other stories. And now we're getting into, I'm going to stick with the paper as I look. We're getting into everybody is throwing their hat in the ring for president in 2020. Most notably, Bernie Sanders announced yesterday that he will now be running again for president of the United States. He hasn't done anything to change his appearance. The hair is still flying all over the fucking place. He still looks like he's matching a navy blue jacket with black pants and calling it a suit. One of those type of guys wearing like comfortable Skechers shoes. Doesn't look very presidential, but then again, I guess neither does Donald Trump. Yeah. I think the days of John F. Kennedy beating Richard Nixon because Richard Nixon sweat on television. That's really one of the reasons Nixon said, I don't need any makeup. Makeup's for women. And Kennedy got some makeup and Nixon didn't. And Nixon showed some sweat balls on under his nose. And that was the end of it. So here we are. And many of the people who've announced that they are going to be running are not only over 70, but quite a bit over 70. So, and this is not until 2020. So Bernie Sanders is currently 79. So I think in 2020, that'll make him 81. Same with Biden, who looks a hell of a lot better than Bernie Sanders, but he's also 78. Michael Bloomberg, who I don't know if people know Michael Bloomberg, he's a very, 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 very one of the richest men in the world, and was also mayor of New York for a little while. He was probably most famous for years ago being the guy who was the first one to monitor sizes of sodas at like McDonald's and stuff. He was saying this is the problem with New York City. Forget everything else with New York City. The problem is that people are drinking too much Giant, so you got to monitor your cup size. You can't go in. And then I think some people there was a backlash to that because we want our Americans. If you want to piss off Americans, take away their fucking soda. Yeah. So once he said you can't have Giant soda, and then. Like, it wasn't even like a few months later. I didn't think all 7-Elevens did it. I certainly by my house did, where they said they had a day, do you remember? Where you could go in and get Slurpees in any type of holder.
Vessel,
thank you. Yeah. Any type of vessel. You bring this if it can hold Slurpee, the contents of Slurpee or whatever the fuck Slurpee is, you can put it in here. And I think it was like one price. It'll be $3. And people, I'm not fucking around. We're like taking garbage bags into 7-Eleven and just dumping out whatever Coke or pina colada Slurpee you could get. And it was so that's America. Don't fuck with people's soda, and you let that if they want to fill up a garbage bag with Mountain Dew, you let them fill up a garbage bag with Mountain Dew. So if anybody wants to run on a campaign that will definitely win you some votes, you vote on the all the soda you want, you fat fucking freaks campaign. So that, and then of course we got Elizabeth Warren, who's a real, I mean. The Indian thing aside, I think right there she can't win just because of that. She fucked that up years ago by saying she was an American Indian.
Her Pocahontas every
of course,
day.
These people are all one, like whatever name Trump comes up with them. He's probably working on it now. Yeah. The one he's going to call Bernie Sanders, and the one he's going to call Joe Biden, and the one he's going to call Bloomberg. He's probably he's one away from like when he did with Marco Rubio was, and a little Marco, and the other guy was Sleepy, whatever. And so and it worked, we all watched those things. And every time these people look so rattled by Donald Trump that it was over. I do think the only one who will not be rattled by Donald Trump is Joe Biden. I think he's the only one who could stand toe to toe with him. I mean, now we have Kamala Harris here in California, who's here we like her, but I don't think she has any chance as president. And there's been some other people, a woman from I believe Minnesota. It was pretty funny. Like she was making her announcement to be, I forget her name now, but she was making her announcement to be president, and her big campaign is global warming, and she made her announcement during a blizzard in Minnesota. So, and of course Donald Trump you used that like, where's global warming? There's a blizzard. There's no global warming. So there we are on that. This is going to be the freak show begins now. I think
it's like, I love the fact that everyone brands themselves as politicians want you to think they're good people, and he's like, I'm not. And then he's so good at uncovering, like,
you mean Donald Trump?
Yeah, like he never pretended to be. He's like, he's not running on this.
Let me just tell you this, everybody running for president, you think this guy's crazy. They're all fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Donald Trump's crazy. Barack Obama was crazy. Hillary Clinton's crazy, because you have to be crazy. I think we talked about this before. You have to be crazy to look at this country. Not only Los Angeles has its problems, New York has its problems, Chicago, all these cities you live in perhaps have their problems. Now put them all together in the confines of America and look at it and go, I can fix that.
I got this.
I can fix it. I know nobody else could in the last 300 years, but I could. I got this. No problem. Like, you have to have something wrong with you. I drive down the streets of Los Angeles and I look at these problems and I can't do shit. What the fuck do I know? Like, there's tents on the sidewalk, but what am I going to do about it? Like, I don't know where to put these people. What am I going to do? Put them in my house? Gross. They're dirty and I don't want them.
Anyone who's ever had like 6 kids doesn't want to take care of 8 people, let alone
So this is where we're at on that, and all the other stuff. And then I guess Sunday we have the Oscars on Sunday coming up. You guys will probably be listening to this on Thursday or Friday or Saturday, or when you're doing your things around the house or at work or ignoring your family and friends. We have the Oscars on Sunday, a hostless Oscars. Who knows how that's going to go? And a bunch of movies that nobody really cares about. Will Bohemian Rhapsody win? Sure, maybe, probably. It's an okay movie. It's certainly not great. It's good, not great. The only reason that it's good is because it's filled with Queen music. And if you just put Queen music on for 2 hours, you're going to have a pretty decent time. I mean, if you take away the Queen music, it's a pretty shitty movie. Other than the fact that the guy who plays Freddie Mercury is fantastic. Everybody else in it is kind of bad actors. People who play Brian May and some of the other guys in the band are pretty bad. Mike Myers is playing a record manager in it, and he pretty much ruins the fucking movie for me. He's doing like a Saturday Night Live character in what is, kind of a movie about reality, and he's playing like a real over the top character, which I don't know.
Kind of like an Ari Gold type of.
Right, but it's even more than that. He's doing like a Saturday Night Live guy. He's got like weird glasses on, and he actually makes reference to the fact that in it, to the point, he actually makes reference to the fact that he used Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World and kind of gave it like a second life. I don't know if you remember that in the back of the car in Wayne's World. They rocked out to that, and that really kind of, Bohemian Rhapsody at that point had been a 25-year-old song or maybe more, and it kind of did give it a resurgence when Wayne's World put it in their movie. And then he actually says that, he says, as he's listening, he's playing this record manager. He goes, as listening to this song, this is not a song people will bang their heads to in the back of a car. And then he almost like winks at the camera. What are we doing
very
here?
Fourth Wall-y.
Exactly.
I don't like that.
I mean, if we're watching Wayne's World, that's great. But this is not supposed to be Wayne's World. Yeah. Anyway, I had him. And so here's my prediction. I think there's an upset, and I think A Star Is Born wins Best Picture. I just think there's a little momentum right now for Star Is Born because of Lady Gaga at singing at what was the last award show, the Grammys, I think, and then that viral one with her and what's his name? I want to say Edward Norton. No, who's the guy who's in it with her?
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper, yeah. When they did that Vegas show together, so. Yeah, I think there's that. So I'm gonna and then I've just read that Lady Gaga broke up with her boyfriend. I didn't know engaged. I guess her fiance. I didn't know she had a fiance, but apparently he's an agent, which never works. Her CAA agent or something that never works. And so a few days before she's going to be walking red carpets and probably be the hit of the red carpet because she's nominated for Best Actress, she is going to be doing it solo, or maybe she'll be doing it with an actor or somebody else, or her mother. I think her mother's dead. Whoever. Sometimes they bring the mother, which is always usually it's a sign. If you're a man walking the red carpet with your mom, it's a sign that you're gay. I remember Kevin Spacey before he, what you know about him now. But he used to always go to the Oscars with his mom, and it was always like, really, your mom? So we were supposed to believe he was straight, I guess, for a little while. So that's the Oscars. We'll be on Sunday. We'll all watch. It's interesting to watch. I don't really have much interest in it, but I'm actually probably going to be in Canada, so I don't even know if they care as much as anybody else. But I'll do my best to try and watch it.
It's kind of funny that she was engaged to like an agent, and the movie A Star Is Born, like the bad guy, like the antagonist is almost like her representation in that movie. Like,
is it?
He kind of comes around and he's like, let's get you in a different direction, and you can feel it like steering. I just think that's funny.
I mean, listen, I thought Lady Gaga was fantastic in the movie. I like The Star Is Born, but I know I've seen Stars Born 5 different times. I know the Chris Christopherson Streisand one from the 70s. I know the Judy.
Did they all end the same?
Well, not necessarily. In this one, the most recent one with Lady Gaga, he commits suicide. And in the Chris Christopherson one, does in a car accident, but you're led to believe that he did the car accident on purpose, kind of. So I think that it is all. I forget what happened in the Judy Garland one, but there's also one even before the Judy Garland one. So that's that. And where are we on everything else? I mean, just to give you a quick sports update. Manny Machado signed with the San Diego Padres. If anybody cares about that, he signed the biggest contract ever signed by a baseball player, $300 million for 10 years. That's $30 million a year. I remember as a child, I used to go up to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, and I remember Catfish Hunter, who was a pitcher for the New York Yankees, had signed a contract for $1 million a year. And people freaked out. Like, what? A baseball player is going to make $1 million a year? And they actually had the pen that he signed the contract with encased in glass, that you could look at this pen. Like, this is the pen a man, Catfish Hunter, used to sign $1 million contract. $1 million. Now, if you bat 210 and play fucking two days at second base for any baseball team, you make $1 million easily. So, anyway, now we're at 10 years, $30 million for Manny Machado. I think those 10-year contracts never work. That's my story on that. Sorry to bore you with sports, but some people say they like to hear about sports. So there you go. Why is people calling? Getting a lot of phone calls right here. I don't know. Fake phone calls. Bullshit. Anyway, what else can we talk about? I wanted to play I Can't Stop Watching. And I mean, I don't know what's happened to me, Alex, and I think it's because you and I discussed it on the show. I can't stop watching this Bhad Bhabie. She has a new Snapchat show.
I was so scared for where it was. I was like, what can't he stop?
She has a Snapchat show. This and I guess it just began.
How long are there episodes?
There's episodes. It's episodes. I guess I'm not that familiar with Snapchat anymore. I remember when it first came out, we were all into it, and then it just kind of faded real fast.
And then they made a pair of glasses, and people were like,
they changed the way it was worked, and I think everyone just bailed and went to Instagram. But they do have like programming on it. Remember when a few like comedians got Snapchat shows and everyone thought, oh my God, I got a Snapchat show. And a week later it was all over. But Bhad Bhabie, Bhad Bhabie. For those of you who don't know who Bhad Bhabie is, she is the girl. I know maybe you didn't hear about this on a past podcast, but she is the girl from Cash Me Outside. Said that on Dr. Phil. years ago. I actually went back because I was so fascinated by her Snapchat show that I went back to look at the original Dr. Phil where she said, "Cash me outside." How about that? And it's amazing because it's just a regular Dr. Phil show where everyone just screams stupid shit. So I don't know why this became such a viral sensation.
She's the reason to go on there.
Yeah, because and Dr. Phil, I noticed from watching his shows, he talks real slow in that southern drawl, as we know, but he just poses questions. He now she goes, "Catch me outside, how about that?" He goes, "Catch me outside, how about that?" No, what does that mean? And then she doesn't, and then the mother has to explain what it means. So anyway, in the Snapchat show, I'm trying to get it up here on my phone. Alex, there was one episode where Alex actually used his phone to look something up, and he's completely stopped doing that.
Oh, I can do that.
No, he did it once, and it worked out kind of nice. He looked up Kim Kardashian Valentine's hearts, and he had facts on it and other stuff. Now he just sits back like he's in his fucking living room with his legs up. I mean, having a time of his life over there. His phone's not even near him anymore. So I have to carry the weight of all of this. Now I have to try and find Bhad Bhabie's Snapchat show on Snapchat, Instagram. Oh no, Snapchat, not Instagram.
I don't even have Snapchat.
Oh, then forget it. You won't be able to find it. Yeah. So I guess she's releasing new songs and all that, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. Here we go. Are you ready? Here it is.
Y'all all the behind the scenes so y'all can see how really goes down.
He's not always here, so it's just like
Ready? And action. Where's the director? Cut! Are we almost done? No.
Okay, now let me just say this. What they're saying is she is gonna be taking over. She won't shut up. She is the new Kylie Jenner. Because she's now got this makeup line and she's getting into music. And is she going to dethrone? Because I guess her Snapchat story had got some crazy amount of downloads on its first day. Like, is my thing still playing?
No.
Like 10 million downloads on her first day or something. So people were going berserk for it. Now I could make fun of this and say, how are people watching this? But there I am watching it. So I'm one of the downloads. So I'm as guilty as anyone else. There's a lot of times when she's screaming, it's just her screaming at her mother. She's not like as attractive as like a Kylie Jenner. She's kind of just looks like a trashy chick. I hate saying that because I don't know if I can't tell if this girl's 15 or 38. It's hard for me to say. I know she was 15 during the Dr. Phil time, but that was a couple of years ago now. So she's got to be 18 now or something. It's a lot of her screaming at her mother. They have like a kind of a house in up in the hills of Hollywood, and it's a lot of her just screaming like, "You don't know me, you don't know me, you don't know me." And I can't differentiate what this accent is from.
They live in the hills?
They do. They have it's a rental house in the hills.
Okay.
With no furniture in it. Yeah, exactly. Like anybody could rent this shithole.
Okay.
And so the mother just screams back, and it's just the heavy mom, and she's crazy. There's a bodyguard. There's a bodyguard who is involved, and now they're planning an Australian tour. This is the plot line of it, and the mother doesn't like the bodyguard, and she doesn't think the bodyguard should go on the Australian tour, and Bhad Bhabie wants this bodyguard to go on the tour. Then they show coming attractions, and they show, I don't know if it's the concert in Australia, and if it is, fucking we need to build a wall around Australia because these people are fucking out of their minds, because there's 10,000 people in the crowd to watch Bhad Bhabie fucking jump around singing.
It had to be like a Jay-Z concert and she opened
No. This is a fucking Bhad Bhabie concert.
It's her
crowd? She's out there singing Gucci Sandals, which is one of her songs. This is the thing. I'm a grown man. That now I know that this girl has a song called Gucci Sandals. And I've listened to it 10 times. Not bad. But everybody's having a good time with Gucci Sandals.
It's not bad.
It's every shit song, like
You can't help but tap your feet, kind of.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like with this girl, the Cardi B, and who's fine. Cardi B seems fine. I don't mind her. I listen to her music, and it's poppy and jumpy, and everybody's jumping around, and it's not my style, but I don't begrudge people having a good time like this. And everyone's getting laid and listening to Cardi B. If you're young people, if you're 17, you're out there fingering each other to Gucci sandals, and that's great. That's great. But a guy like me, an older guy, we didn't have it's easy to get laid to Gucci sandals and to I Got Money moves because it's got a beat and it's fucking everybody's getting frothed up and they want to finger each other. But I was growing up to hit songs on the radio, like pop hits were like Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. This was a song, I think it was number 1 on the charts, about a boat that crashed and everybody on the boat died. This is the shit I had to try and finger girls to. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Nobody wants to be fingered to the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The church bell chimes, even rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The good ship and you don't even know the song, do you? Get it on your phone right now. Get it on your phone. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot.
Will you keep singing it while I pull it out?
The good shipping crew was bound to be. The good shipping crew There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Are you girls? Are your pussies getting wet from hearing Gordon Lightfoot sing about the sinking boat in Lake Michigan? So that's what I had to deal with. We didn't have Money Moves or Bhad Bhabie or
Gucci sandals goes a long way.
And then I looked up how many downloads her song By Bitch, and she spells bitch B-I-C-H. That's the other thing. Just throw in another letter. You remember the other song? This is another song you had. Jen Murphy might remember these. There's a song called "The Night Chicago Died." And it was like a song about Al Capone killing a bunch of cops in Chicago. And once again, a chart hit. Like, the night Chicago, brother, what a night it really was. Brother, what a fight it really was. Glory be. And these were the songs you would get on the dance floor and dance to and hope that you can get a lady after it was over. Is that it? There you go. There you go. Try fucking to that. I dare you. I dare any of you to try fucking to The Night Chicago Died by, I believe the band was Paper Lace.
Paper Lace.
Yeah. But anyway, well, that's the thing. The Jussie Smollett story is the big story of the day, right? I don't know how you girls feel about this Jussie Smollett story. What do you guys talk about on Jill and Off? You don't? Why not?
Current events in their own sex lives.
Oh, you talk about your own sex lives? Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. If you guys like hearing about a couple of gals' sex lives, listen to Jill and Off with 2 comedians, Christina Waukesha and Jen Murphy, friends of mine for a long time. They've been in the game a long, long time. And, so they've been around. They know. We talk about, we try to talk about, not politics, but current events a bit. And then I'll go into, just because it's, it's the life I live, I'll go into show business and what it's like. Because I get angry at the fact that there's Real Housewives and stuff like that. And I perform a lot with Heather McDonald and I perform with Real Housewives. And the crowd will freak the fuck out when these housewives come out on stage. And then I come out on stage and I'm like, okay. I mean, but yet I busted my ass for 30 years to come up with an act. The housewives just scream and turn over a table and they sell out arenas.
The good thing about Bhad Bhabie is she's bringing quality art to the scene. And
I'll say this about Bhad Bhabie. Whoever produces her, you guys know who Bhad Bhabie is? Her name is Bhad Bhabie. She was the girl who, this is what I'm getting at. Like Jen and Christina, you guys have worked hard in your life to get to where you are, which is probably not that great. Yeah, right. And this girl went on Dr. Phil one time, you probably remember, and she said, "Cash me outside, how about that?" That girl. So from that, they took this, and because she was like a 14-year-old girl with big tits. That was her hook. She was a 14-year-old girl with big tits. And honestly, I felt like a weirdo looking at her, but she did have big tits for a 14-year-old. I guess. I don't know if it's hormones in the milk or something they put in the kids' toothpaste, I heard, could give them big tits. That's why these children have big tits.
The hormones in the chicken.
Chicken? Whatever the fuck it is. These kids have giant tits. At least this Bhad Bhabie does. So then some record producer said, this 14-year-old big tits, bring her my way. We're going to make her a pop star. So they called her Bhad Bhabie, but you think, oh, Bhad Bhabie, that's BADBABY. No, it's BHADBHABIE. So I thought, and Alex thought, we thought her record producer was a Middle Eastern guy called Bhad Bhabie. And turns out it's not. She's Bhad Bhabie, and she has big, giant hit songs. And now she
and
has
arenas of Australian
she's playing
people.
arenas in Australia in front of 20,000 screaming Australians. But Australians, they have no class. So, I mean, you can't really, they don't account for much in this world. Well, yes, in a shitty kind of pop, way where it's just overly produced, with a backbeat. Doesn't sound that bad. It sounds like every other song. It's got a song called Gucci Slippers. I suggest you guys download it on your ride back to wherever you guys are heading. You listen to Gucci Slippers. Not bad. Anyway, it was fun to have these guys just walk in because they're doing their podcast after this. And so that's Jen Murphy and Christina Walkinshaw. And it's called Jillin' Off, and it's on the same comedy pop-up network.
Mondays.
Where on Mondays. But don't get too don't if it's going to confuse you with my podcast, fuck them. Just continue on with this one. Yeah. If you don't have the time to listen to more podcasts than just cover to cover, don't listen to theirs. Just stay with mine. But I appreciate you all doing this. Today was a little bit crazy because I have to head to Edmonton, Canada in a couple hours and perform in a mall at the comic strip. So please come to that. And then next week I'll give you the rest of my dates. Dallas and back in Texas and all over the place. Alex, thank you once again for doing absolutely nothing. One of the good ones, this Alex. He's really becoming a dear, dear friend. I have no idea what he does in life, but he's a dear friend for 45 minutes every Wednesday or Tuesday when I decide to. After that, I don't even think about him, but some people seem to enjoy him and others seem to hate his guts. But it seems like the love for you is getting better. Yeah, so we're all good.
We're moving in the right direction.
And I always try to bring up stories to Alex to see if he has any opinions on them, and he doesn't really know anything about like what's happening in the news.
I don't follow the Austin. You cover a lot of pop culture news.
That's what I feel like.
You don't want me going off on.
What am I going to talk about? Christina Walkinshaw getting fingered when she was, they're talking about their lives. Their things going on in their lives. Yeah.
A lot of material.
Good. All right, everybody. Thank you. I gotta go. Gotta be in Edmonton, Canada, and I'm expecting a new dining room set delivered to my house in an hour. So I got to get back to Encino in no time. Bye.